Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Laraquente. I am the co-founder and CEO of Esporter, and I am happy to welcome you to the Streets of New Capenna Streamer Showdown. We're extremely happy to have everyone participating today. It's going to be a really great event for you guys. For anyone not familiar with Esporter, Esporter is bringing the pro esports experience to the casual gamer. For anyone who wants to know what we do, we're actually running this thing called splits. Each split is a month of esports experiences where you get 4 weeks of coaching with professionals, content creators, your favorite people to watch. You get to sit in the room and learn from them. 4 weeks of individual gameplay reviews and opportunities to grow and to learn and to improve. You get weekly scrimmages and group play opportunities with the people in your learning cohort. And it all culminates in a championship tournament just like the one we are hosting today. But how does that all work? So let's tell you a bit more about what we got going on today. So today's tournament is going to be a pod draft with some of the biggest streamers in the game today. Let's show you our lineup of participants right now. Check him out at _. Again, today's event is a little bit different than what we do over here at Esporter. Esporter is double elimination tournaments to end our splits. But here, just like a regular pod draft that you would go to at your FNM. Apologies. Oh my goodness. California allergies. So today, all participants are going to be playing 3 best-of-3 matches. Anyone with a 3-0 or 2-1 finishing match performance will move on to tomorrow, which is the finals against the people that we saw in yesterday's Pod 1. The finals will be best of 3. There will not be any upper bracket or match advantage, but it's going to be kind of same thing, same system to get the first, second, and third place. You're going to do the draft and play through the pod. So let's check out our competitors today in their draft seats. We're actually going to randomize things right before they start. And one of the awesome things about today is we are going to get to follow them along in their drafts. So let's do a quick ready check and make sure that everyone is ready to go before we get things started. They don't hear my audio. Hard stop. Hold on. All right, everyone. I'm hearing that we might be missing a little bit of my audio, so I'm going to double check what I have going on here. Check, check. We got a thumbs up in the chat for the audio sounding okay. All right, so let's real quick go over what we just talked about. Do we have any idea how much people missed? Very good. Okay, it seems like you guys were able to get the player introductions. It looks like all of our participants are ready to start the draft, so let's get things started. All right, so let's start in the first position. We'll take a peek. You know what? We'll follow along with our very own Cord O calls. We do have to wait until he actually makes his first pick to see his first pick. But yesterday, you know, if there were any takeaways from yesterday's pod, it really was that the decks that took removal. I know we talk all about how removal is not that important and limited. In pod drafting, things change a little bit. Ultimately, there's only so much removal that is opened at the pod. And so you want to make sure that you have some ways to interact with your opponent's cards. You know, in blue, that's out of the way, run at a time, the psychic pickpockets, maybe even witness protection in a pinch. In white, you got the hold for ransoms. You have yeah, you're not really trying to play the 5 mana exile non-land permanent, but you do. So if your options are limited, it's important that you take it relatively highly. Whack, Deal Gone Bad, Murder, all decent performers. Any of the any of the tricolor picks. Okay, so let's take a peek at Cortical's first pick here. He ends up taking the Undercover Operative. So we can see here that there's a couple of, you know, to be honest, it's actually not that tough. When you look at it, there's a couple taking Gathering Throng through super early, potentially to try and catch them all and get 3 or 4 of them. I do think Whack is a legitimate consideration, but I think at the end of the day, when you kind of want to be in blue, taking the Undercover Operative here does make a lot of sense. Blue is just a strong color. It gives you a pivot into Esper as well as Grixis, and taking this Undercover Operative here is just a really good pick. So that's Cord O calls. Let's take a peek at our Esporter representative, Andy Archmaster. And Andy ends up taking a first pick Murder. Okay, so he's maybe thinking, hey, people in the pod might not be wanting to go towards black. I think there's a case to be made for the freelance muscle. Oh, okay. He takes the Murder into the Fleetfoot Dancer. Very interesting. Trying to probably take the strongest pick in the pack. Moving on to pack 3. So we see the Murder goes directly into the Fleetfoot. There's not really a good black card to follow that up with, and the Fleetfoot Dancer is definitely the strongest card in the pack. Make Disappear, extremely high win rate, good card. Venom Connoisseur also you'd be happy to pick up. Let's take a peek. We'll go down the line. Let's go from the top down. We'll take a look at NicolaiBolas. So his first pick was Arrigo, the Streetwise Mentor. Very strong pick. Also, just a very strong pack in general. A lot of good white cards coming in. We've got the Knockout Blow, the Citizen's Crowbar, the Dapper Shieldmate you're fine with playing. You know, Expendable Lackey's good. Warm Welcome's good. Decent white pack. You know, the one thing with Rigo that scares me taking it here is you're not really scaring anyone off of taking white. So you're you know, you might be in a little bit of a pinch as these other good cards go around the table. Pick 2, we see that the Ham took whatever the rare was, and Nikolai is able to follow that up with a Citizen's Crowbar into and out of the way. So you can see that there wasn't really much else to consider. Maybe the Whack, but alongside your first pick, Rigo, you're definitely taking that Crowbar. Third pick, out of the way. Out of the way, definitely a good pickup. He's moving himself into one of the stronger decks in the format, that being Brokers or Blue-White. Blue-White probably having the highest win rate among all 2 color pairs in the format. Let's take a peek at what the Ham's got cooking over here. All right. So we go to the first pick, Devilish Valet. I like it. He's got a plan. He's a man with a plan. I think that there could be some interesting combos here. If you can get some antagonizes, or you can get some, pump spells to position the Devilish Valet to be pretty powerful, it's actually quite, it could be quite a strong card if played correctly. Interesting first pick from the Ham. He, after that, follows that up with a body dropper. Okay, so it looks like he's probably thinking that people will undervalue the black-red sacrifice at the table. And to be fair, Numat the Nummy yesterday won the entire pod with a primarily commons and uncommons red-black deck. He just was able to get low to the ground. He did have a professional, the 3-mana professional fight fixer or whatever. But that deck was able to go the distance and get the 3-0 just by being low to the ground and kicking some butt. So let's go back. So we get a second pick body dropper into a third pick Jetmir's fixer. Not really much else there to consider when you look at the red or black. Other good cards of note, the Gathering Throng. It's a bit far from what he's doing. Takes the involuntary employment, love it. Get the little sacrifice combo with the body dropper. Cormella going pretty late, maybe hoping to see that on the wheel. And pick 5, Rocco the Cabaret Caterer. So it looks like the Ham is still kind of bobbing and weaving as he finds his way through this draft. So let's take a peek at what EkiLTV has got going on. First pick, Grizzly Sigil, definitely a strong removal card. We see a couple of, what else is really here? We got the Out of the Way, which we know was taken later potentially by Nicolai. First pick Sigil into a second pick Whack. Maybe he was listening, to us talking about, hey, you should take that removal. Into a third pick Snooping Newsy. I do like it. I do think when you pick up two pieces of removal to start your deck, taking Cormella might be something you're interested in. I doubt it's going to wheel all the way back to him, but it could. So maybe that's taking a flyer on it, wheeling to him. So he picks up the Snooping Newsy into the Expendable Lackey over what? Over really the Glamorous Outlaw, over the Backstreet Bruiser. The Outlaw is one of the better family fixers, but the Backstreet Bruiser is maybe the other potential pick in this pack, and Expendable Lackey makes a lot of sense here. Back-to-back Expendable Lackeys for Akil into a Waterfront District. Looks like he's moving pretty nicely into a black-blue deck. All right, let's check out what Voxy's got going on. Let's take her back to pick 1. Okay, she starts out with the Maestro's Diabolist. Maestro's Diabolist. And I do think that is by far the strongest card in the pack, and there's a world where this Cormella makes it back to her pick 9. So let's check out and see where she's navigated, how she's navigated through. Ooh, okay. Maestro's Diabolist into a Darling of the Masses. This was my first pick yesterday out of a pretty weak pack 1. She goes Darling of the Masses into a Rogues Gallery. I do like that. If she winds up being in a number of different colors. Other potential pickups here were the Run Out of Town, if she's looking to be in green or white. I'm not really happy with any of these 3. I think it's maybe just the Run Out of Town was the other potential pick here. Then we move on. We see she takes the Gold Hound. Their potential good cards in the wings there. Ooh, she gets it on the wheel. Okay, so we see the Make Disappear here. That was another one. As you're building a Maestro's maybe removal heavy controlling deck, the Make Disappear goes up significantly in value. She goes for the more aggressive Gold Hound line. We see a Wrecking Crew, Spendable Lackey, another potential pick here. Dig Up the Body, a good card to go get back your Cormella, get back your Maestro's Diabolist. Involuntary Employment also very, very good in that Maestro's deck. So let's go back to that pick 6. We have the Pyre Sledge Arsonist getting taken over really nothing. Good cards of note, Revelation of Power, Warm Welcome, both very good cards in their respective decks. And we see her getting a pick 7, Glamorous Outlaw. I'm really liking this pile so far. Oh, 3. Oh, okay. So she's continuing her picks. So we've missed a couple more Glamorous Outlaws coming her way. But it looks like she is moving firmly into a Maestro / red-black splash blue type of deck. So we'll come back to her. We have not seen what JamieTopples has got going on. Let's take a peek at her first couple of picks. Vivian of the Hunt. We take a peek. It looks like she's gotten a little bit of a cabaret build going. first pick, Vivian. Maybe that and the Maestro's Diabolus, two of the stronger opens to start this draft. Okay, I like that. A Vivian into a freelance muscle, starting a nice into a Venom Connoisseur. Jamie has a very clear one-track mind with these first 4 green pickups. I like it a lot. Okay, we move on to a Plasma Jockey. I do think that is, other than Warm Welcome, one of the stronger picks in the pack. If you're going to be in green, red-green is not a bad option. Exhibition Magician here, continuing to further herself into this red-green line. And we can see, we don't have to look pick by pick. We can see that she is looking pretty firmly red-green as we exit pack 1, potentially moving into Riveteers, which seems like a lane that no one else is in just yet. Let's see how Archmaster is doing after 1 pack. After 1 pack, we see he's got, all right, a knockout blow, a murder. It looks like he's maybe leaning towards green-white here, or maybe some kind of cabaret build, looking to splish splash around. Got the Fleetfoot Dancer and the Knockout Blow and Topiary Stomper as far as relatively good cards. The Stomper has maybe underperformed a little bit, in my opinion. I do think he can get there building something nice. I think that his lane might be just the smallest bit clogged up with other people at the table. So we're reviewing pack 2. Pick 1 from DeFore now. Takes a Rafine's Informant out of a very strong pack. Corpse Explosion, Pugilist, Larcenist, and then Commons, Regulator, Servant. Wow, this is an absolutely stacked pack. This is going to hook up a good number of people moving forward. We see, okay, a pretty strong, almost mono white build so far. You know, I don't think any of these are pulls into other colors. And I think DeFore is saying, you know what? Let me just be in one of the strongest colors, and I'll pivot from there. I'll be white blue. I'll be white green. I'll be white black. I can even be white red. Like, I think that this is definitely not a bad way to start your draft. And I'm excited to see what he's going to be bringing to the table. DeFore is maybe, you know, we'll see. We'll see. It's hard to say who's going to have a real strong. I think JamieTopples has got a great deck so far. I think Voxy's got a great deck so far. You know, the ladies repping strong over here with some really good decks. So let's go over to Nicolai and see how he's doing. Okay, seems like he is pretty firmly into the blue-white lane, which I think is never bad to be in one of the better decks in the format. It looks like from his draft picks that white has been relatively cut to him, as we've seen DeFore passing to him, I believe, last round to Nicolai. Oh, no, DeFore's passing to him now, but DeFore was taking all of the white that Nicolai may not have been taking. He's got double Regulator, Rigo, a pretty decent 2-drop slot. He's got serviceable 2-drops, and that's what's really important. In these pod drafts, there's only so many 2-drops. There's only so much removal. So it is important that you have ways to interact with your opponent's things, but it's also important that you have early game to combat those decks that people are building that black-red aggressive deck to try and, you know, land and pound you in the face. You need to be able to at least trade in the early game to get to your plan in the late game, be that, or mid game, be that flyers, be that shield counters, be that big beefy boys and rares, you know, whatever it is, you got to be able to combat the aggressive decks in this format. Okay, so we're going back to the hand. We haven't seen him since early. Gets his Pugilist in the pile. Ooh, I like what he's got going on here. He's got a pretty good, this is actually, you know, it looks like he's building this red-green deck quite nicely. Double for the family alongside the Devilish Valet. Can be pretty good. Double strike, 3/5 trample haster, or potentially 5/7 trample double strike haster. Yep. Let's take a quick peek at this. Enters the battlefield under your control, gains double the power. Excuse me. So you for the family it, make it a 5/7. Play a creature, make it a 10/14 trample haste. I like it. Seems like there's a low bar to make that pretty sweet. Okay, so it looks like we've got a red-green deck brewing over here from the ham. Akil, let's see what you got going on. All right, so as we look, he's building towards what seems like a pretty interesting Dimir deck. That must have been pack 2. Pick 1 was a Body Launderer. It's going to come in very handy in this deck. Return another non-rogue creature card with equal or lesser power from your graveyard to the battlefield. So the fact that it connives, you get to kind of keep getting bigger and bigger opportunities back. Honestly, you get a single with equal or lesser. You get a single connive token on it, and you can go back, get back your sewer croc or your shattered seraph. That body launder is gonna be a house. I see. Oh, a veteran. Okay, veteran. I thought that was the windshield agent. Yep, looking pretty good over here so far, coming from Akil. Looks like a lot of people are maybe steering away from the 3-color decks in and to focus a bit more on the 2-color decks. This 4-drop slot for Akil is getting a little bit clogged up, but it's definitely going to be pretty strong. It's all clogged up with good stuff. All right, so let's keep moving. Look at our friend Cord calls. Cord seems to be in a base blue deck, potentially moving into something similar as Akil here. Akil passing the Cord means Cord might be getting the second picks, but the man's got 3 out of the ways. So that's he definitely is taking that to heart with drafting removal relatively highly. I do like the Crooked Custodian. Although it comes in tapped, it trades with the Civil Servant. And if you're thinking about how your deck stacks up against the best decks in the format, having a 3/2 on turn 2 that its only drawback is that it comes in tapped. If you're on the play, that's almost not even a drawback. So I think that Civil Servant here, or Crooked Custodian here, is an excellent pickup in the early game, as well as this Backstreet Bruiser. Looks like he's just getting a bunch of beefy boys to try and clog up the road early, make it difficult for his opponents to swing through, and then maybe win with some unblockable or evasive creatures. Okay, Cord is looking good. Let's check out Voxy, who had a very interesting Maestros deck cooking last time we were checking in with her. Got a Strangle, got a Mayhem Patrol, one of our favorite 2-drops in the format. Just a fun card. Winds up being pretty good in general. Picked up the Corpse Explosion. I do think that the power level of board wipes in Limited is extremely strong. This is a way above replacement level effect that is going to, if played correctly, win you more games than it loses. And being like forcing yourself to exile a card from your graveyard is actually not a creature card, is a big deal in red and black because you can bring things back from the graveyard. But getting to wipe the board is pretty good, pretty crazy. I like this. Oh, okay. Bring my screen up a little bit. Oh, got it. Yes, thank you. Okay. Maybe it's worth just like making it a little bigger. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't actually watching. I was just looking at my screen here. Okay, I'm gonna try and make some adjustments to maybe fit more onto the screen. Does that work a little better? A little bit. Okay. Apologies. I want you guys to be able to see what I'm talking about here as I'm going through some of these previews. Okay. Okay. I would just say go onto my face a little. Oh, that's really weird. Let me try and reshare. All right. I'm looking at the where I'm sharing, and it shows the whole thing now. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. We'll be right back to some commentary in a second. We're trying to get you a better field of view with the screen share itself. All right, let's get into checking out the decks that we have here. Very good. Okay, very exciting. Okay, much better, much better. We can see everything that's going on. All right, so we are on Voxy's Pack 3. She opens a rabble rousing. Oh my goodness. Absolutely insane. As if her deck wasn't strong enough to begin with. Now I bet you she is clamoring to go find some fixing for white. She doesn't yet. Oh, into a Reservoir Kraken. My goodness. Voxy is getting hooked up. She's got a Maestro's Diabolus, Psychic Pickpocket, Reservoir Kraken, Carmella. This deck might not even need the Rebel Rousing to be going 3-0 today. Wow. Corpse Explosion, Rogues Gallery. This is absolute spice. This is ooh, okay. She might have a tough time in the early game, kind of, but if you can get to the turn 3, turn 4 without getting run over, I think that she has got an incredible power level to her overall deck. All right, so let's take a quick peek as we move on from Voxy to JamieTopples. Oh, okay. She's got a red-green Riveteers build cooking here. She's got Mr. Orfeo the Boulder. She's got Vivian the Hunt. Mr. Orfeo can be good if we can pair it with some combat tricks, which it doesn't look like she has too many of just yet. This mid-game seems pretty good. This red-green deck is often contingent on a couple of factors of like making some treasures and making some combo things happen. But the power level of the base power level of this deck seems pretty solid. All right, let's check out what the Esporter representative Archmaster has going on. He's got a pretty spicy 3-drop position, double knockout blow, 3 topiary stompers. Oh my goodness. Well, he's going to have to find a way to get to 7 mana. If you can get to 7 mana, all of a sudden, this guy can become a very valuable creature on the board. But the fact that, you know, in my experience, he's been a little bit tough. He doesn't really become an attacker often soon enough. Looks like there's a bit of a Bant build here. If we can maybe mitigate some of the early game aggression from some of our opponents, there's a world where you are pretty comfortably playing both the exotic pets as well as the Fleetfoot Dancer. I think that Archmaster is on his way to getting a pretty nice deck. Picks up the Goons here. I do think that he is in dire need of a 2-drop, but I think the rest of the table might also be thinking the exact same way. All right, so let's let me go back to this. Let's check out the next person in line here. We're going to look at DeFore. How's he been navigating today's draft? All right. So it looks like, oh, well, we found where all the 2-drops that Archmaster is lacking have gone, and they've been going straight into DeFore's pile. He's got double backup agent, double Rafine's Informant, a Sky Crier. Yep, this is definitely going to be pretty powerful. When you see this early aggression, double Gathering Throng, a Regulator, the Ceremonial Groundbreaker, going to be able to push damage, going to be able to get trample on his big 4/2 shielded creatures and the Dapper Shield Mate. Swooping Protectors, a really nice pickup. Speakeasy Server to help close out the game. This is kind of just a classic white deck build for Streets of New Capenna. Definitely think DeFore's got something cooking nicely here. Let's go back to the first seat in NicolaiBolas. And we see, what is he building? He almost certainly has just a straight up white-blue deck. He's got a couple of ways to get counters on things for the Regulators as well as Metropolis Angel in the Broker's Veterans, in Rigo, who comes in with a shield counter, in the Swooping Protector, in the double Paragons. I think that he's going to count on some of this evasion flying to get some of his creatures, and double Citizen's Crowbar, which is nice, good early plays, just 2/2s and leaves you with a good equipment. Yes, also it seems like a pretty solid white-blue Flyers deck, just kind of get the job done. The Ham has built, oh, look at the curve of all the picks, just beautiful to look at. All right, so we see double for the family, double Mayhem Patrol. He's moved off of the black and went all in on the red-green aggro beats. Ooh, a Ginny Faye, very interesting, and a Rocco. Not a whole lot of ways to fix. We'll see if he actually does play the white without the lands to help there. Double Bouncers beat down, double Warm Welcome, Broken Wings, great cards for the sideboard, and Involuntary Employment alongside no ways to sacrifice. I doubt that maybe one of these makes the final cut. Without a way to sacrifice any of your creatures, I doubt you want to play two of them. But looking real strong. Beats, red-green beats, might be able to get there. I like what the ham has built here. Let's check out what Akila's got going on. Okay, so it looks like we are in a bit of an Obscura build. So we have double Lackey, Witness Protection, Grizzly Sigil, which I believe was his first pick. Double Newsy at 2, very nice. Probably going to play the security bypass to maybe get through some of these Newsies. Fake Your Own Death, a real interesting overperformer. Wound up being a card that I think people didn't really understand or why it was going to be really good to start, and then it started overperforming. People were like, oh yeah, you know, brings it back, gets you a treasure. Oftentimes, if you use it on a Crooked Custodian, on a Corrupt Court Official, it'll be able to trade up with 3 drops and then make them discard a card. It's real good combos with it in black. Has a little bit of the fixing for some of these white cards to be able to play the Regulator and what else, and the exotic pets. Seems like this is kind of just a streamlined red-black deck, though. Definitely like what Akil is building here. Let's move over to our boy Corticals. Cord has been taking the fixing, and I think he's got an interesting build here. We've got double Custodian. We've got Snooping Newsy, Make Disappear, Fake Your Own Death. Real solid early game to kind of mitigate any serious losses. Nice evasive. Midnight Assassin, I think, was yesterday's potential overperformer. Just wound up being a good piece of removal alongside Fake Your Own Death. Was just you know, something that mitigated a lot of attacking, just because it just sat there on the battlefield, stopped you. Double Majestic Metamorphosis. This is a card that Cord has preached over and over in our classes, that this effect is incredibly powerful. The fact that you can turn your treasure into a 4/4 blocker that draws you a card. It's essentially a removal spell that cantrips and gets more value out of your, you know, your essentially nothing cards normally. Triple out of the way here. Undercover Operative, the Goons, a Sewer Croc, a Dusk Mangler. You know what? I think Cord has got a top 4 deck here. This is looking pretty good, and we have wrapped drafting. All righty. So thank you to all of our participants. Exciting to have you guys here with us today. Let's take a peek at some of these final builds. All right, so we'll go across the top. So we look at the distribution of colors, who drafted what, and we can see a couple of things. We can see that 1, 2, 3, only 3 people were in white, which is interesting because normally it winds up being a much more heavily contested color. 4 people were in blue, but 3 people were in green, and 3 people were in red, and 3 in black. Honestly, this is almost like the perfect distribution. Seems like people had a good idea of the deck they were supposed to be in. This corner right here was the blue-black corner. Everyone was looking for, I guess it was flowing to them, as the rest of the table wasn't really interested in those cards. You know, we saw Voxy building an absolute house of a deck. Let's check out what she's actually working with over here. 5 Glamorous Outlaws. I assume you're at least playing 2 or 3 of them, just to help with some of your fixing. Ziatora's Proving Ground helps with the fixing. Nice cycling land. Waterfront District, the fact that you can toss it later and draw a land is great. And the Maestro's Theater makes a lot of sense. Perfect for her build. The Strangle is going to be really powerful. The Witness, I thought that was Expendable Lackey. Probably only going to play the Unlucky Witness, I think almost certainly, in the Strangle in the 1 slot. Custodian, Patrol, Scarab, Fake Your Own Death. You're probably not playing Cut Your Own Profits or Fatal Grudge. So it looks like she's got relatively aggressive start. Couple of creatures there, and the Strangle and the Unlucky Witness. Maybe she plays Witness Protection, depending on how she feels about her removal suite. Midnight Assassin, the Pyre Sledge Arsonist. You you know, if you can get it, so in green, when the Venom Connoisseur is there, if you can get cute with it and give it Death Touch and then be able to sack a treasure, there's a lot that you got to do to set that up to make it really powerful. It can be like a cute little combo. She doesn't have it in this deck. And also, just kind of looking at the rest of the potential sacrifice cards in her deck, it doesn't look like this is really going to be one that makes the final cut, in my opinion. Maestro's Diabolist, great. Calling a professional, gets around shield counters, prevents the gaining of life. Maestro's Charm, boy, oh boy, this is a powerful packed 3-drop position. Corpse Explosion, the Rogues Gallery. I really love it. I love it. I think there's a lot of good coming in this. The Reservoir Kraken at 4. This card is oppressive. Beginning of each combat, it's untapped. Any opponent may tap an untapped creature they control. They do. Tap the Kraken, but make a fish. And then eventually all the fish just kill you. This is absurd. She definitely wound up with some of the strongest cards, I would say, in the entire pod. She's got a Kraken and a Body Launderer. Oh my gosh. Voxy might be on the path to 3-0ing this whole pod. I feel bad for the people who have to play against her. Plasma Jockey, good, solid pickup. Cormella to go get back some of... Actually, she does not have very much removal. She has the Charm. She has the Corpse Explosion. And Calling a Professional. You know what? That's probably enough to say I'm excited to run this. Yeah, that's enough. Cormella's good enough that she's making the cut. Pairs really nicely with the Fake Your Own Death. Just a good card in general. Going to play the Psychic Pickpocket and probably Rabble Rousing. Can you fit the Rabble Rousing in? There's no way to... There's the Halo Scarab. There's the Gold Hound. So you're playing the Gold Hound, the Halo Scarab. And I don't... The Fake Your Own Death makes a treasure. I would be trying to talk myself into playing Rabble Rousing. I think her deck might just be strong enough without messing around with the mana base that you don't have to play it. But then again, it's a turn 5 play. It's only a single planes that you need to be able to have. All right, let's get off of it. Voxy has got a killer deck. Excited to see some gameplay there. Let's check out across the pond what NicolaiBolas ended up building in his white-blue deck. Lots of really solid fixing from Nicolai here. Lackey, slip out the back. Probably not playing. Maybe playing one of these boons. Maybe playing both of the brokers in an attempt to kind of mitigate early game losses. But what are you really excited about? You're happy to play the agent. You're happy to play a bruiser. You might play one of these veterans. Double Crowbar and a Disdainful Stroke. I think you're almost certainly playing the Disdainful Stroke in this white-blue deck because you don't really have ways to deal with your opponent's threats on the board. It seems like Nicolai's best build here is something that is a bit more aggressive, takes advantage of the fact that he can land early, be evasive, triple Gathering Throng, very, very high-performing white common in the set so far. Mage's Attendant, Rigo, double Regulator. This is going to be a really hard deck to get around. You know, I think the sheer power level of Voxy's deck is what you need in Maestros to combat this, like, common, mostly common and uncommon white-blue deck. That's probably why the format is shaken out to be so challenging for some people, because the best deck, which is white-blue, has a very similar play pattern. Every single day, you're just, okay, you know, I play out my flyers. They have shield counters. I protect them. I, you know, phase them out, or I give them shield counters, or I, you know, hold for ransom your flyer, and I push through, and I have the tempo advantage, and I win. So these are going to play out really nicely. Swooping Protector, a card that I truly love. Again, this is actually open deck lists for all participants. So everyone's going to know what their opponents are coming with. The Metropolis Angel, very strong, double out of the way, and maybe you play the Buy Your Silence at the 5 slot. If I'm looking at building this deck, I'm playing 15 to 16 lands. Nah, not 15. There's not enough connive for 15, but you're definitely playing 16 lands. The top of your build is the Buy Your Silence because you don't have any other removal, and you're playing the Swooping Protector, a single Paragon, Metropolis, double out of the way, and you're really just trying to push the tempo, throw your crowbars on your flyers and just push through. You know, this could have a little bit of a hard time if you get into the late game. It doesn't look like there's many comeback mechanisms, but it does look like there's enough tempo cards that Nicolai could be in good shape just to close it out. Let's check out our first Esporter representative, Andy Archmaster. And what did he build here? So it looks like he was able to get a interesting green-white build. Let's move this up a little bit better in frame so that you guys can see it. Oh, no, you guys were able to see it. Okay, cool. Green-white build here that has some interesting cards. Probably going to wind up playing one of these initiates. A Rafine's Informant, a Sky Crier, a Civil Servant, the Briefcase. Okay. And maybe, honestly, in green-white, the Gilded Pinions is with these Topiary Stompers is actually potentially a very strong win condition. You know, I look at what he's got at the 3-drop position, probably not playing this Gathering Throng as a one-of. But the Rumor Gatherer could be nice. Do you have ways to get multiple creatures out at once? It doesn't look like it. Triple Topiary Stomper is going to help enable playing the Regulator and the Exotic Pets. Playing double Knockout Blow. I don't see repeatable ways to get 1/1s. I think that he might be thinking, like, I'm going to play this Briefcase and all these Topiary Stompers, and I'll just have 1 mana of every color in the deck. But we will see. I do like he's got the Races Ring and the Skybridge Towers here. Dapper Shieldmate at 4. The Fleetfoot Dancer, super strong card. I am excited. Maybe he is trying to do some 5-color shenanigans. Yeah, widespread thieving. Yeah, I just don't think it probably shouldn't make his final cut. But it looks like this is going to be a green-white base splashing blue ever so slightly for the Exotic Pets and Regulator, and maybe black for his Girder Goons. But I think that he could get away with just the Broker's build here. Definitely interesting. Excited to see how he does. And let's go check out our boy Corticals. What did he end up with? So Jamie, I'm also excited to look at Jamie's final build because we did see during her draft that she had a very strong build. So we have an Expendable Lackey. We've got Bruiser. Oh, this is pretty nice in the 2. His 2-drop is going to have about 7 playables at 2. You're going to cut really probably just the Broker's Veteran and the Tainted Indulgence. Probably don't play either of these Snoops. Probably play Double Metamorphosis, Dig Up the Body, Murder, and Larcenist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 13, 1, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, it's going to be pretty good. I think it's going to be a bit heavier on the 4-drop slot, the 2 and the 4. It's going to be and a little bit lower on the 3, and then 1, and then 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this is just a good, like, if Croc's not end of the game, Mangler's end of the game, Girder Goon's end of the game. I think Corticals has got also one of those decks that you look at and say, okay, this has got potential to be in the top 4 of this pod. Let's check out JamieTopples. Jamie ended up going more base green, red-green than actual Riveteers. Got the Unlucky Witness at 1. Got the Venom Connoisseur, as well as the Antagonized. Double light them up. Light them up. The Civic Gardener's fine. I think it's like a serviceable 2-drop. I think you have to play it when you're in this position because you just need something to fill in the early game. Quadruple Exhibition Magician. Does she have alliance triggers that can take advantage of that? Sacrifice a creature. Yeah, the Riveteer's Ascendancy is probably not getting played. The Casualty on the Light 'em Up is nice, but I don't think there are enough ways to sacrifice creatures to really make this worth it. She could be thinking about the Evolving Door. The Evolving Door sacrifices any of her 1/1 green-white citizens to go get Power Sledge Arsonist, Exhibition Magician, yeah, maybe that's not it. Maybe that's not it. It does upgrade your 1/1 token into a 2/1. It replaces itself with a 2/1 and a 1/1. I don't know if that's enough value to really care that much about running the Evolving Door. Yeah, okay. It's possible. It's certainly possible. It's an interesting combo. She's got great cards for the sideboard. The Warm Welcome is always welcome. The Riveteer's Charm here, one of a very, very strong charm in a weaker color pair. But when it's open like this, you do wind up getting a lot of good cards. Double Plasma Jockey, Voice of the Vermin can be extremely strong. Mr. Orfeo, possibly playing Take to the Streets, Ready to Rumbles, serviceable removal spell, gets rid of most of the things in the format. Freelance Muscle, love it. Real good card there. Chaldea Strong Arm. And Vivian. You may sacrifice a creature. If you do, search your library for a creature card with the mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrifice creature's mana value. Put it on the battlefield. So that turns tokens into 1-drops, anything into something a little bit bigger. That might be nice to toss the Exhibition Magician for like a Mr. Orfeo. That's a big upgrade, or even for a Voice of the Vermin or something like that. I do like that Vivian comes down and protects herself with these 4/4 rhinos, though. So that is going to be exciting to see our first. Oh, well, we did see Obnixilis yesterday, second Planeswalker of the weekend. Topples has a very interesting red-green build here. Again, we looked at Voxy's a little bit earlier. EkiLTV, we did not take a peek at EkiLTV's deck. And then we just have the Ham left. So we'll take a peek at the Ham and D4. So EkiLTV looks like he is maybe building a truly Obscura deck versus just black-blue, looking to splash for this Regulator and these exotic pets. There is a little bit of fixing for it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 playables at 2. That's pretty nice. Alongside 3 playables at 1. 12 cards in your first 2 draws. I like that, just to be extremely aggressive. So that means we're cutting the Seraph and the Sewer Croc in favor of being super aggressive. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah. Looks like we're cutting the Maestros, the Sewer Croc, and the Shattered Seraph, and we're going full aggro, 3/4 drops, a single 5-drop, and we are running, maybe we're running 16 lands, and we're also playing like the Quick Draw Dagger, or maybe the Midnight Assassin, which I did not include in my initial evaluation. I can see this being an incredibly aggressive black-blue deck that is looking to leverage tricks, leverage counters to put you on your back foot and hit you with some big creatures. Use my unblockable fish, use my sky threats, and put you in a bad position. Just a good amount of removal. I like this build. I think it's going to be pretty aggressive on the black-blue side of things versus Cortical's a little bit more controlling black-blue build. The Ham also went the red-green route alongside JamieTopples. Got the Sticky Fingers at 1, the triple for the family, double Mayhem Patrol, the Attended Socialite. I do like the Socialite. Jetmir's Fixer. Does he have Gilded Pinions? A very good card in this red-green deck because it allows your creatures to kind of get in with some regularity. Devilish Valet alongside these For the Families could be pretty insane. Okay, we got a Witty Roastmaster, High-Rise Sawjack, great sideboard card, potential main board creature. Ginny Faye, you love to see it. Do you have any Glittermongers? Ginny Faye alongside your Glittermongers is make a 2/2 or 3/1 a turn. If you would create 1 or more tokens, you may instead create that many 2/2 cats or 3/1 dogs with vigilance. That's a fun little combo there. We'll see the ways that you can actually make treasures. So Sticky Fingers makes a treasure. Pinions. So it's 2. If you cast it, search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less. Put it onto the battlefield. Okay. It's pretty nice. Rocco's just a good, amazing in the late game. Decent for 5 once you get it up to 5. Double Bouncers Beatdown, like that. Broken Wings for the sideboard, double Warm Welcome. I really do like the velocity in the Ham's deck here. Double Plasma Jockey, pretty nice, pretty nice. Turn down your opponent's potential blockers. Horde Hauler, double Horde Hauler. Are you ever really going to play this, though? Maybe with your double Plasma Jockey, it becomes a little bit better. And then the Horde Hauler allows you to get more tokens. That's a good sideboard card if you notice that your opponent is on the treasure token train, is hauling that Horde. But I doubt that's going to make the final cut. Big score almost certainly in, maybe one of these involuntary employments, and this whole slew of 5 drops, in my opinion, are making it in. And this is just going to be low to the ground, beat you up. You know what? I am curious to see how these more controlling, powerful decks from Voxy and Cord are actually going to stack up against these more aggressive decks from the Ham and Akil and NicolaiBolas. There's, 3 really aggressive decks that seem powerful in their own right. And there's 2 that are these controlling decks that I feel like could really go the distance. Topples a bit more aggressive, a bit more in the mid-range, also with some really strong top end. Archmaster also in the mid-range, probably going to try and be a bit more aggressive. It does seem like this might be on a longer game play, though. And DeFore is the final one we haven't taken a peek at yet. And let's see at what they've actually built. A double backup agent, double Rafine's Informant, Riveteer's Decoy, Skycrier, Hold for Ransom, Citizen's Crowbar, Refuse to Yield, Revelation of Power. You look at this 2-drop slot, there are 10 cards here he's probably playing. Honestly, like it says he might be mono white, and I think he could be mono white. He's probably splashing blue. Blue for the Regulator and a Security Bypass and Witness Protection, but I think this is like as close to mono white as you get. There's a world also where he's like Obscura, but without any fixing, I am reluctant to play multiple different colors like that. So let's take a peek. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm only playing 2 or 3. So 10 in the 2-drop position. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, so if I'm just counting the white cards, I did count a Celestial Regulator in there, so let's count the Rooftop Nuisance and a single Security Bypass. Yeah, this is probably going to be almost entirely white, small splash for blue deck that is going to be very aggressive. I can maybe see this deck running into some problems because it's only got so much interaction and it is not that evasive. There's not many tricks. It's not many ways to really end the game here. I have a feeling that some of these rares that some of these players maybe got a little bit luckier in opening and were able to build around and help get a direction from might be pretty impactful today. But I think if piloted well, these more aggressive decks from I would say from our 4 contestants here, it's kind of like more aggressive from DeFore, Nikolai, the Ham, Akil, kind of mid-rangey for Archmaster and Topples, and I think a bit leaning more towards control for Voxy and Corticals here. Really interesting how that shook out because I think the power levels of these decks are pretty close to flat. I think for Voxy especially. Voxy opened some stupid rares. She got Kraken, Body Launder, Rabble Rousing, Maestro's Diabolist, Corpse Explosion. Like this is silly. Cord also I think has just like a pretty well constructed deck that just seems like it's going to be able to win a lot of games, draw him through his deck, and get him to the late game where you win with the Kraken. Dust Mangler. And then for these more aggressive decks, it's going to be how well do you pilot your pile? What you got in front of you, can you get ahead of some of these other more aggressive matchups? All right, and we've got our first matchup coming your way with Voxy and NicolaiBolas. We will see if their gameplay actually does shake out the way we thought it would today, the way we talked about it just potentially shaking out right now. So later, it looks like we've got the pairings here, and we are already into game 1. So let's take a peek at Nikolai's hand. He's got an early Rego. The Witness Protection does not remove the shield counter, so it just removes the ability to draw cards when creatures power 1 or less attack. like Voxy is pretty well positioned to get herself into the later game. She's got the ability to cast her Maestro's Charm. She does have her Strangle in hand. And can she get some more lands is the question. Yeah, it looks like already 2 of her charms might be on 2 of her lands. Or 2 of her family fixers might be on her lands. NicolaiBolas with his Witness Protection double out of the way in hand. I do like the pressure he's able to put on with this early set of creatures. And without some more lands, Voxy could be in a little bit of trouble. NicolaiBolas is in good shape having this this cycling land in hand. He's going to be able to out of the way to remove threats. He's going to be able to kind of continue the aggression here and put himself in a position to get a little bit of a lead on his opponents. Fortunately, that shield counter gets a little bit waste. Oh, shield counter stack. That is good to know. I thought that once you had one, you could not get another, but that is 2 shield counters on his Rego. If there is any way, oh, out of the way. Out of the way might return non-land permanents, but that's probably not worth it, right? You want to get rid of that thing. Yeah, out of the way is non-land permanent, so that's probably not what he's going to want to do. It's really, really nice for Voxy to be able to force Nicolai to. Oh, never mind. He was able to sacrifice something else. Oh, she used it to draw cards, and that's because there's another one in her hand. She's probably going to use it to oh, it's not the sacrifice, it's to deal 5 damage, excuse me. All right, so it looks like Nicolai is going to be able to push here with locking down the Custodian with the Regulator, start getting in some damage with Rego. Going to move over the Crowbar over to his Celestial Regulator. Hang on to that island just because he has a good idea of what her deck list is. Yes, again, this is an open deck list tournament, so everyone does know what your opponent could potentially have. Ooh, returning the Body Launder is definitely going to hurt a little bit for Voxy. If she can get another land here, she's definitely cooking. So it does look like she draws the Psychic Pickpocket, replays the Body Launderer, and again, Nicolai's going to be able to bounce the Launderer and just continue his air assault here. Just continuing to draw through his deck, making problems for Voxy. Looks like we are ever so slightly behind on Voxy's feed. But I believe we're up to date with what's going on with Nicolai. So we will watch from his point of view. Again, the Body Launderer comes down. Nicolai is going to have the Witness Protection to be able to deal with that. And then this could, with a tapped out Voxy only at 4 mana, this could potentially put him in a position to put her on a 2-turn clock. We do see the Cormella in hand. Might be a little bit too little too late. There is a world where the Corpse Explosion unfortunately helps remove everything except the Regulator, unless if Nicolai does move it over. Okay. So he's able to get out the Wrecking Crew, or Voxy does draw into a land, is able to get out the Wrecking Crew to block the Celestial Regulator. Nicolai doesn't have a way around that just yet. He is saying, I'm going to swing with 2-3 Power Flyers, and that is going to be game 1 going to NicolaiBolas with a more aggressive tempo blue-white flying build. Voxy got a little bit in trouble there with some of her lands. I think she probably, hopefully won't run into those issues again. Looking as we look at NicolaiBolas' screen as he takes a peek at what Voxy's working with, playing 4 of those Glamorous Outlaws, in my opinion, might just be a little bit too many. You might want to get something that's a little bit earlier, especially as you've now seen that Nicolai is going to run you over. If you're going through your sideboarding, you're wanting to find something to mitigate some of those early losses and some of those sky attackers. So it's, hey, can I play some more removal, or what do I need to kind of combat in the better in the sky? And again, that's what we said. Nikolai's deck is a bit more aggressive, is a bit more evasive, and in these control decks that have the super high power level, you just got to play incredibly tight. And there's a reason why this deck has been such a powerful deck in the format, and it's because it just does so much with so little. It really allows for you to kind of battle on all these different axes. It allows for you to protect your creatures with all these shield counters. The connive gets you through your deck. Like, there's just so much that white blue does well that makes it a really, almost oppressive color pair to deal with in the format. And then on top of that, they get things like Rabble Rousing and, access to Broker's Ascendancy and all these cards that wind up being incredibly strong and just really hard to deal with. So we see a decent opener from Nicolai here. Continuing to toggle back and forth to double check what is in the actual deck here. Really good opener from Voxy, minus the not being able to cast some of her spells. Yeah, she's going to be able to use the Outlaw here to fix some of her mana, give her access to playing the Mayhem Patrol. She does draw into a 3rd land. Very good luck for her. Ooh. There's potential here for a nice, Corpse Explosion still doesn't even get rid of the Broker's Initiate, unfortunately. Yeah, getting at the Mayhem Patrol definitely makes sense. Ooh, decides to blitz it in. Probably looking to dig a little bit more for some of these lands. Yeah, I do like that play from Voxy here. Yeah, if I'm Voxy, I'm also looking to kind of mitigate some of my life losses in the early game as much as possible, because I think that with some of her cards like Body Launderer and her other rares that she has access to later in the game, she also is, sitting on the Corpse Explosion and the Body Launderer. So it's kind of like let your opponent run into this if possible. The Glamorous Outlaw would need to get into the graveyard to actually be a true wipe of the board. Voxy does get her 4th land here. Really hard to say, do you want to play this Body Launderer? Nikolai is going to be able to pump his Initiate into a 5/5 next turn. Does choose to go with the Body Launderer. It's entirely not really a reason to play the Metropolis Angel just yet. And Voxy checking out what that Corpse Explosion actually does. It is going to be able to clear the way of 3 of the creatures, and Nikolai will not be able to save one of his own if she goes with the Corpse Explosion now. 5th mana, almost able to play the Glamorous Outlaw. Psychic Pickpocket does act as removal for any of these tokens. Yep. Probably going to bounce on the one on the critical on the Citizen's Crowbar. She gets a Sticky Fingers. Interesting pickup here. Sticky Fingers would give her a little bit more mana, allow her to play the Glamorous Outlaw. She decides to discard the Sticky Fingers to get the 1/1 counter and gets rid of the 1/1 that can counter a non-creature spell for unless their caster pays an additional 1. Broker's Veteran, kind of a blank here for Nikolai, but it is at least another piece of board presence that is nice and effective. Yeah, it's kind of anyone's game at this point. If I'm gonna guess, this Rogues Gallery is gonna really set up Voxy to reload in the long game. I would not be surprised if this is heading to a game 3. This is what I mean by the power level of Voxy's deck is just so incredibly impressive. Yeah, you're almost certainly gonna take that trade pretty happily here. Giving the shield counter to the Metropolis Angel. Yeah, you want it to stay alive in case there's a corpse explosion. Calls in the Professional as he's putting the shield counter on. Definitely interesting position for Voxy because you don't really care about the Broker's Initiates until you start to really care about the Broker's Initiates. Decides to bounce and potentially continue to push here, putting it on the 104. I was making it a 1-5. Nikolai with a nice board full of defenses. Voxy going with the Rogues Gallery earlier and getting back Pickpocket, Custodian, and Mayhem Patrol, completely refilling her hand while able to next get out a Glamorous Outlaw. Really gonna look pretty solid for her. Play some defense, and then the Glamorous Outlaw is an excellent target for the Corpse Explosion. This is going to put NicolaiBolas in a very hairy situation. If I am Voxy, there's a world where I look at the existing board state and I say, you know what? I am happy with going whatever, 4-for-1 with this Corpse Explosion. I actually do not know what's currently in her graveyard, but there's also a world where she waits a turn, lets NicolaiBolas play out his 2 Gathering Throngs, and really get the ultimate value out of this. Yeah, I think you'd want to bounce the 1/5 with the counter on it here, just because you're looking to have this Corpse Explosion be as valuable as possible. Yep, exactly. And if you can get the Glamorous Outlaw in the graveyard, it actually does clear the entire board. Voxy deciding to go with the Mayhem Patrol here. I think building the board is definitely not a bad call to try and mitigate some of these losses. Nikolai, knowing that the Corpse Explosion may be waiting in the wings, is also has some potential there for him planning around it. So it definitely makes sense that he wouldn't want to run face first into that just because he knows that she might have that in his hand as the only unrevealed card at the moment. Yeah, it seems like Nikolai is likely going to sit on these gathering throngs. Voxy looking for her opening, trying to find a way to bait Nikolai into a couple of blocks here. Yeah, it seems like with all this evasion, honestly, there's a world where, you know, next turn Nikolai goes to block and you just watch your... Ooh, okay, she chooses the... All right, so one of her rogues galleries must have, or excuse me, Glamorous Outlaws must have already been in the graveyard, able to wipe his entire board, putting Nikolai in a very precarious situation. He's going to be able to get out one of these gathering throngs this turn, but I think that this is definitely swung the table in favor of Voxy here. A swooping protector is going to come down and be a... Ooh, she draws into the Maestro's Diabolist. And, ooh, NicolaiBolas says, no more for me. I am over it. No, thank you. Yeah, this is definitely... That's definitely where Voxy's deck is going to shine. If she's able to get to that late game where she's actually a bit more able to take advantage of the power level of some of the rares she was able to draft, that's where her deck is going to be able to be incredibly effective. Nikolai, again, relying on one of those maybe early pushes, early evasive pushes. This looks like a decent start for him. He's got 2 into a 3 into potentially a 4 with any draw. He's looking like he's going to be in good shape here. Gets out the Citizen's Crowbar to combat Voxy's 1/1 Goldhound. It's going to be able to... not going to be able to double spell just yet, but holding up Slip Out the Back is not the worst, but also just not all that helpful when all your creatures are just tokens. Because unfortunately, if you slip it out the back, it's just going to be gone forever. Pretty good early aggressive start from NicolaiBolas here. Ooh, Voxy able to get a turn 3 Reservoir Kraken due to the Goldhound being on the board. This is going to be an incredibly difficult next couple of turns for NicolaiBolas. This is going to be some trouble for sure. And on top of that, even if he is able to remove it, he could exile it with the Buy Your Silence, but the Rogues Gallery is going to be able to go get it back. Definitely a really strong hand for Voxy here. Oh, and the ability does get countered from the ward. Nikolai probably knew that would happen, but that is devastating. Oh, he's going to allow her to attack in, and he's going to triple block, saying, you know what? I have no other way to deal with this, not knowing that the Rogues Gallery is already waiting in the wings to go get it back. Wow. Next turn, she's going to be able to get a Psychic Pickpocket out, get rid of his 2/2, and really put him in a bad position. He's going to be able to get out the Broker's Veteran as well, or Broker's Initiate, excuse me, as well. Interesting block here from Voxy. I don't think you necessarily have to do that just yet. Leaving the battlefield screen. Wamba, thank you. Yeah, that definitely, yes, it's never leaving the battlefield. It just doesn't exist for a turn kind of thing. Yeah, so the token, I guess, does stick around in that case, which also means it gets to gain the counter. So that's a great point. So slip out the back actually can be a bit more effective there. Yeah, Voxy's not going to want to do the Rogues Gallery just yet. I think using the Pickpocket to get rid of the token makes a ton of sense. Yeah, she chooses not to block, which I think is probably the right call at the end of the day. Gets out her 5th mana, does decide to go with the Psychic Pickpocket, bouncing the Citizen. Not this, yeah, the 1/1 Citizen. Effectively killing it and putting her in a pretty commanding position. Okay, it looks like Voxy is starting to get to the point in the game where she is going to be a huge problem for Nicolai. Yeah, he's going to use this witness protection. Little does he know, waiting in the wings is just this Rogues Gallery if she trades off any of her creatures. The flying is going to buy or help Nicolai's aggressive push, be able to get him. He probably wants to be able to slip out the back the swooping protector if somehow she has a way to deal with some of these shenanigans. Getting out that wrecking crew makes a ton of sense to try and start to block, but that 4 attacks coming in the air is pretty painful. That is going to slow things down pretty substantially. Nicolai will be able to buy the silence of the wrecking crew, and I think Voxy might be in a position where she needs to start pushing back. Yeah, so we got some continuing aggressive pushes from Nicolai here in the air. Voxy is able to get back her Reservoir Kraken and cast it this turn. This could be a little bit too much for Nicolai to deal with. He can buy the silence of, I believe it's Ward 1, but it could actually be Ward 2. Let's take a quick peek at where that's at. It's Ward 2. He can't actually buy the silence. This 4 attack in the air is going to become problematic. The Midnight Assassin will potentially be a decent blocker for the flyer, but the race is on. Can Voxy win before this swooping protector takes her down? She does decide to swing all. Nicolai leaving up the mana for the pump here is going to be able to eat the creature of his choice. Just going to be taking 9 here, putting down to 7. And the question is, does she have, can she play 2 blockers for, oh, she draws a Glamorous Outlaw, chooses to play the Outlaw, needs to also play the Gold Hound in order to have a blocker for the Initiate. Oh, he cannot play the Initiate or pump the Initiate and buy your silence. So 1 blocker here is actually going to be enough to stop the potential loss. Oh, this is looking real close for NicolaiBolas. It seems like this is the turn he's gonna have to win, or it might be over. Voxy's rare loaded deck might just be able to fight back too hard. Yes, Flacco, it is by about 1 turn. Sorry about that. We'll try and have them synced up for the next couple of matches. Got it. Yeah, it's something that I think we're just going to have to roll with over the course of the day. But it looks like the most up-to-date information is coming from Nicolai's stream right now. All right. Nikolai's not going to be able to close it out this turn, and I don't think he's going to be able to attack. Okay. This does leave him vulnerable to the all-out swing that does he just lose now? He's going to be able to buy silence of the 4-5. He chump. Ooh, big draw from Voxy. That might just be game here. Block the 6-6, block the 4-5, take exact lethal. That could just be game here. Well, no, you get to kill one thing. So block the 6-6, block the 2-1, take 3, and you win. Interesting choice to tap down. If he just avoids lethal this turn, well, Voxy does have, oh, she has the Midnight Assassin, which Nikolai can then phase out, and then he can swing in for the win. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, he doesn't know not to use it. Oh, this does save him, but if he's able to, he should wait for attacks to be declared. Oh no. Okay. He chooses to not wait for attacks to be declared. All he's got to do is block the 2-1 here. But she's going to be able to get out the Midnight Assassin in post-combat too. Oh, no. Had he not done that, he could have taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He could have bought the silence of the 4-5 instead, given the treasure tokens, blocked the 2-1, taken 3 damage, and then he wouldn't have had mana for Slip Out the Back next turn. She would have played Midnight Assassin. He wouldn't have had mana for Slip Out the Back. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that there was no... This was the only route. This was the only way. Well, the Midnight Assassin is coming down. So without knowing that the Midnight Assassin is in hand, so Nikolai next turn needs to draw into something. Needs to draw into anything that will help him get this Midnight Assassin out of the way and allow him to push. Okay. Voxy, I think, does want to push with that 2-1, wants to push in as much damage as possible to try and get in a position where some of this unblockable damage might come in handy. Oh, I forgot about the Diabolus making the 1-1 devil tokens. Could have put him down to 1 there. Gonna be able to buy the silence of the Midnight. Wow. Wow. Well played here by Nikolai to get the W. Big time match. Really, really intense. Really fun to watch. That's well played all around. Really, really good playing from both sides there. I am not sure there was much else that could have been done. So he did need to slip out the back in order to remove the threat that was coming for the following turn, or excuse me, on the threat that was coming right after the in post combat too. That was definitely a complicated game. Good for NicolaiBolas for taking down round 1. In Voxy, I think, still has an incredibly powerful deck. Which actually I think can still go the distance of getting herself a 2-1 and into day 2. But Nikolai advances to round 2 of the winner's bracket. All right, so as we take a peek at where people are today, EkiLTV taking down Tap Dat Asp. The Ham TV falling to JamieTopples. And then we just watched NicolaiBolas and Voxy duke it out head to head, where NicolaiBolas will be moving to the winner's bracket to face EkiLTV, and Jamie will be facing the winner of Quarter Calls and DeFore. All right, again, this is for Esporter. For anyone who, this is the Esporter and Just Lola Man Streamer Showdown. For anyone not aware of what Esporter is the most unique, fun esports opportunity, esports experience you can have as a casual gamer. When you sign up for one of Esporter's splits, you get 4 weeks of coaching from pros, your favorite content creators, 4 weeks of individual gameplay reviews, as well as like draft log reviews, whatever you want to do to try and get better. weekly group play and scrimmage opportunities. And all of this culminates in a championship tournament for prizes. Come join us for one of our next upcoming splits. The spots are going really quickly. We've got Just Lola Man as one of our upcoming coaches, Quarter Calls, a bunch of really cool people in the pipeline we're excited to tell people about soon. Definitely would love to have you. Come check us out at esporter.win. And if you're not ready, come join us in the Discord and come chat limited Magic and just regular Magic in general with us. We're going to be right back in 1 minute. We're just going to go on a very quick delay before popping into our next match. All right, welcome back to the Streets of New Capenna, Just Lola Man and Esporter Streamer Showdown. We are jumping into game 2 between Court of Calls and DeFore. All right, let's check in on the action here. Looks like Cord has a late game, a very solid late game hand at the moment, with DeFore trying to push pretty aggressively. He's just played his Rafine's Informant. Hasn't drawn into any blue mana yet, so isn't able to play his Celestial Regulator. But we could be looking at next turn when he has. Okay, so what we see right now looks like he doesn't have access to his blue mana just yet, but should shortly based on his cards being highlighted. Oh no, yeah, that was the connive options. He does not have the blue mana just yet. Picking up the Undercover Operator, definitely interesting. It's not like you put it on the Rafine's Informant, you're honestly not that happy. But you're also not able to really do anything else. So I think being able to at least connive with the Rafine's Informant and maybe toss something like, maybe you toss one of these metamorphoses. It's either that or the Shattered Seraph. I think you do want to hang on to the Dust Mangler because it winds up being such an impactful late game card. The Seraph is also going to help dig him out of this scenario where, he gains a little bit of life. He gets a big blocker to stabilize. But he's not necessarily... Yeah, I can see him kind of agonizing over this decision. I think if it's me, I'm probably tossing the Seraph. and maybe looking to use the Metamorphosis to get me a couple of good trades and draw me deeper into our deck. So the reason I think you might want to keep the Faker on death is because it's one of the few things that allows you to double spell in the next few turns. And that's one of the ways he could be able to, yeah. Tossing the Metamorphosis here, I think, makes a lot of sense. He's already got one. Maybe throws Dufour off the scent of the second in his hand. I think that he is definitely okay. All right. So Dufour's got a strong hand himself. Although he doesn't have access to any of his blue spells yet, he definitely still can play, still have a good tricky turn that would make it really hard for Alex here. I think you swing out with both. And Alex likely doesn't block, but that 5 damage is pretty impactful. Dufour drawing into his blue mana, really exciting. That's potentially for next turn. Okay, so he does choose to swing, play out the Dapper Shield Mate, continue to build the board a little bit more. Alex drawing into a Psionic Snoop, deciding not to swing and just pass turn. And now we see Dufour drawing into that blue mana and playing the Celestial Regulator, which we just saw come out. Tapping down the Rafine's Informant, opening up a big swing for Dufour, really making this a very hard turn for Alex. He's going to be able to potentially toss his, Seraph. I think he's still tossing his Seraph. That's probably the next call for me. Yeah, you want to keep the Murder. I think you're still tossing the Seraph does get you back. Honestly, maybe it's the Faker on Death or Duskmangler, and then I think I choose Duskmangler because I'm too far from it. The Rafine's Informant, the undercover operative, once he brings it back with a Faker on Death, is going to be able to go be the regulator. So that could actually be a pretty interesting nab for him to replay. The Seraph with the gaining 4 health now with this race on, I am more interested in keeping it. The Mangler is going to end the game better, but the Seraph, once we get to 7, could potentially protect us. He does also have Revelation of Power mana open, which is a bit scary. So if Alex does go for something like a Faker on Death on the Snoop, it's a bit scary because that is an absolute blowout. He does go for the Fake Your Own Death. And Dufour is going to have a Revelation of Power that is likely going to end the game for Alex. I can't imagine. With 5 mana, he's going to be able to single spell with either Metamorphosis or the Murder next turn. I think he's probably in 2 dire straits to be able to come back from the Revelation of Power on the Informant here. Does seem like we're having maybe a little bit of a connection issue on Dufour's side. It looks like he might be a little bit frozen. Could also just be deep in the tank thinking about this Revelation of Power play, whether or not to make it. And again, for anyone who's curious, we would love to have you over at Esporter. Come check out our website at esporter.win. We would love for you to join us if anyone wants to see what it's like to come participate in one of these splits. It's unique, it's fun, it's engaging, it gets you in the room with some of your favorite pros and content creators to help you improve and get to a place where you can see more success playing this incredibly complicated, game that we all love so much. It's a lot better when you can play it with some friends and you can actually win a little bit more. So, and then in the end, you get to kind of compete in a tournament like this where you can put it all on the line for some prizes. Yeah, it seems like DeFore is having some client issues right now. Looks like he was able to figure it out. All right. It was able to work out. He chooses to let the Rafine's informant actually die in favor of getting in more damage. Very interesting. This additional black is going to allow Alex to double spell with a murder and the majestic metamorphosis, which potentially protects him from lethal. He's going to be able to go down to 1 here. Oh man, he's gonna have to force to block the shield mate and murder the regulator. But the out of time here is actually pretty nice. All right, the moment of truth. He does get back his tap down Rafine's informant, but the security bypass is going to allow. Okay, he chooses DeFore opts to play the Gathering Throng, drawing into another Gathering Throng. Interesting. This nimble, little does Alex know, this nimble larcenist would nab the card that will potentially end his first round. The security bypass. Well, I guess if you just leave up the mana, right? Because he's got access to 6 mana. He can't cast both the larcenist and the out of the way, and I think if he were looking at DeFore's deck list, he would maybe know that, okay, he's got a security bypass in there, and I should probably keep the out of the way for that threat. He is thinking about whether or not he should play this on his turn or his opponent's turn. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough decision here for Alex. He is able to cast the out of the way and then into the Shattered Seraph from his hand. Very interesting to choose to bounce the Gathering Throng here. His life total is so precariously low. I think that, yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. He is able to is able to cast the security bypass on one of his creatures and then swing through for lethal, just because Alex doesn't have any way to deal with DeFore's threats at the moment. Yeah, had he hung on to the out of the way there, would have maybe bought him one more turn. Has to attack alone, does attack alone. Alex takes the round 1 loss 2-4. Congratulations to 4 for the round 1 win. So DeFore again was on that very aggressive, low to the ground, white-blue deck he wound up moving forward with. We've got the backup agents. We've got the Rafine's informants, the Skycrier, security bypass, just able to kind of use tricks as well as early strong creatures to push through a whole bunch of damage. And as you can see, Alex is on a bit later game of a deck. What we're looking at, he did end up playing the Tainted Indulgence here. A bit later of a deck, was playing the Snoop. Wound up having a couple of decent bodies, but in the end, just not enough to get it done. Ended up having to maybe miss out on some of his later drops because he couldn't get the lands for them. But definitely a good match. Still a lot of fun to watch. And we saw some good builds here from our early aggressive decks. We see both of the white-blue players coming out ahead here. And let's take a peek at where we are at with our bracket. So we've got NicolaiBolas taking on EkiLTV. We've got JamieTopples taking on DeFore here. We've got Voxy and Tap That Ass going head to head. And we've got the Ham TV taking on Court of Calls next. So we'll come back to them shortly. Okay, there was a quick update here to the bracket. And we can see the losers match, the winner play in the win and in match, and the losers go down to the O2 bracket. All right. And so for anyone who doesn't know, this is a best of 3. Best of 3 pod draft, just like what you do at your F&M. There is a prize pool for tomorrow's finals, which is Thursday. We've already qualified in Numat the Nummy won yesterday's pod. Here we can actually take a quick peek at it. Numat the Nummy, Seth Manfield, Rita Rabbit, and Lord Tupperware were yesterday's finalists. And then today, the top 4 from this pod will also be moving on. So we can see their current records. So Nicolai, Akil, JamieTopples, and DeFore all coming through with their first round wins. We're going to head over to Nicolai and Akil's match. And we see the white-blue build here from NicolaiBolas. Akil is the aggressor here, putting Nicolai potentially on the back foot. This 04 Brokers Initiate seeming to do a lot of work for some of our winning decks here today. Very impressed with some of our participants. This is going to be a pretty good quick draw dagger for Akil here. I think there is a case to be made for potentially leaving up and make disappear. Yeah, I was wondering what maybe he was thinking about. I think you definitely want to get rid of that. He probably just didn't want to give the shield counter to the 2/2, but I definitely think that that's a good tempo-based play for him there. Apologies for that quick drop off for just a second. I want to get you guys back into the action as quick as possible. That blue mana is going to be really nice in helping him leave up make disappear. I think make disappear, as soon as, Nicolai gets in a position where he can cast a spell, I can imagine he's going to want to get that out. Really smart play here to dig up the body to chooses to put the shield counter. Interesting. Not on the 2/2 who would trade, but on, it is a 4/4 at this point. So it does make sense that you'd want to be able to activate their +1/+1, get the life link, and get the trade there of getting rid of NicolaiBolas' 04 Initiate that was acting as a bit of an annoying blocker. Interesting here to double block. I do think Akil's making the right call here. Dropping the body launderer here is interesting. I definitely understand leaving up the make disappear, right? If he gets out, as soon as he gets another land, you want to be able to keep him on the back foot and make it so that he doesn't have an opportunity to catch up from a tempo perspective. NicolaiBolas continuing to whiff here on lands. It looks like Akil does, in fact, already have game 1. So Akil is looking to close this one out and take rounds 1 and 2. Ooh, very exciting to interesting. Tough run out of town, tough sequence there for Akil. Still not the worst, going 1-for-1 on the trade. Still able to put the pressure, the continued pressure on NicolaiBolas. Able to get a 2-2 unblockable as well. And Nikolai finally drawing into his third land, able to get Rigo the Everwise going. Potentially setting up a body launderer into a make disappear, which I would be interested in, because I think that at this point, being so far ahead, you want to keep your opponent on the back foot as much as possible. Yeah, I agree with this. Whatever they want to play, I want to make sure that I turn that off, and then I'm able to have a big aggressive turn next turn. Does play around the make disappear with the witness protection. Moves the crowbar over to Rigo. Still has Akil Sahir, still has Nikolai on a 3-turn clock. Nikolai also holding up Slip Out the Back. The line of Grizzly Sigil sacking the body launder into the make disappear is interesting, but I also don't hate just setting up lethal for next turn. The Grizzly Sigil does take out, yeah, I was going to say the flyer, and then, well, now you can't actually set it up for next turn because he got rid of the quick draw dagger. But I don't love Rigo just continuing to be a potential problem on the battlefield. I'm interested in potentially casualtying my body launderer, getting it back in the grave. That being said, Akil still is in quite a good position to close this out pretty efficiently. I do think this is the right call to make disappear here. You are still able to Grizzly Sigil away Rigo if you want. You can't set up lethal right now this turn, but you can put him very seriously on that back foot while he's tapped out. Opts to let it live. Nikolai getting another draw step. Got it. Exactly. Killing both of, yeah, using the Grizzly Sigil to take care of both of the potential blockers. Able to swing in. There is the lethal line. Akil able to find it. And Akil going 2-0 to start the day. Really? You can see the stress on his face there. That's how it feels when you're in these high pressure matches. So let's take a peek at what Akil's working with over here. So we see a double lackey. Great play at the end there to hold up, to not make disappear, hold up the sigil, let him attack in, let him grab the extra card. Hey, I'm going to get rid of both of your blockers, and then I have lethal. Backstreet Bruiser, Broker's Veteran, Crooked Custodian. He looks like he was definitely playing double newsy, probably the Fake Your Own Death, the Obscura Initiate, the Quick Draw Dagger. I don't even know if his final deck list was playing with these white cards. He could just be a strictly black-blue deck. And if so, he's got a lot of gas. He's got Echo Inspector, Body Launderer, Syndicate Infiltrator, double run out of time, double whack, Girder Goons, Crocodile. He's definitely in position to have a lot of evasive, hard to beat threats. Seems like he's able to land and just start hitting face early. And then with a couple of his removal spells and evasive creatures, he's able to kind of put on the hurt. Definitely really interesting match from them there. Nikolai going down in round 2 here. So let's take a peek at what we've got for pairings. So that means congratulations to EkiLTV. He is moving on, not losing a single game yet, moving on to the finals. Yeah, he saw the line there, DJ Skateco. He saw the line of how to get the W without the make disappear. He saw that I could just casualty my lackey and get 2 more, kill 2 of their blockers and swing in for lethal. Really, really great play there. Exciting to watch that. Voxy and Tap Dad Asp have split so far today. Split games. Ham TV has taken 1 over quarter calls, and Akil again taking down the top bracket, moving on to the finals to play the winner of JamieTopples and DeFore. We're going to take you guys on over to the other half of the winners bracket with JamieTopples and DeFore. Okay, so where are we at? We see DeFore here just starting out. He is up 1 game. 1-0 right now on JamieTopples. JamieTopples, as we can see, has taken a more Riveteers build than just straight up red-green. Wow, 3 white-blue decks came out of the pot. 3 white-blue decks coming out of the pot. 2 blue-black decks. Seems like blue wound up being that just being able to add enough spice to each of these decks that it made it into almost five decks, which is pretty wild. Mr. Orfeo able to pump the Exhibition Magician, letting Topples hit in 4-4. Dapper Shield made a good aggressive creature. Playing the Refuse to Yield, the Revelation of Power, the Hold for Ransom. DeFore is actually looking like he is in a good position to stick these threats for a significant amount of time. If JamieTopples can maybe get a couple more, she's able to go Civic Gardener into Masked Bandits here. It's also possible that she goes Exhibition Magician into making a treasure and hoping that she lands or draws the land for next turn. If she is able to draw that land for next turn, it allows her to play the Masked Bandits. I think there's a world if I'm DeFore where I'm losing the shield counter and blocking the 2-1, not knowing what's in Jamie's hand. Yeah, and he agrees. Jamie taking that trade. DeFore taking 4 to the face. And yeah, that's what she's banking on. I assume she's going to make the treasure here, hoping that she hits a land next turn, going into the Masked Bandits. Yep, I do like that play. That is going to put DeFore in a really rough situation. He doesn't have a whole lot of creatures waiting in the wings, so he really needs to protect the guys that he's got here. I do like Crowbar and holding up one of your pump spells to try and deal with Mr. Orfeo over here. That Revelation of Power or the Refuse to Yield both deal with Orfeo on next turn's attacks. Yeah, I think the Hold for Ransom can be one of those cards that you really hang on to until it helps you actually push for lethal or get through those last points of damage. And again, for anyone who's not familiar with what's going on today, this is the Streamer Showdown, the Just Lola Man and Esporter Streets of New Capenna Streamer Showdown. We have some of your favorite names duking it out today for a prize pool of $1,000. If you want, come join our splits at Esporter. It's 4 weeks of pro coaching, 4 weeks of individual gameplay reviews, group play and scrimmages with people at an even level in your group. And it all culminates in a cash prize tournament like the one we're watching today. Good draw from JamieTopples here with the Venom Connoisseur. We do see DeFore going crowbar and passing. No luck on the extra land here for Jamie. That would be a way for her to be able to push in the last puts of damage needed to close it out. DeFore saying, yes, I am happy to trade my token for your exhibition magician. And Topples running out of gas. She has played. She's got a nice wide board at this point. Interesting not to attack there with the Orfeo. Maybe anticipating having these open deck lists allows you to anticipate the fact that they might have some additional tricks in hand. Getting the crowbar on the Dapper Shieldmate does force Topples to double block if she's interested. Big double swing here from DeFore, leaving the shields down. Potentially putting him in a position to take 8 damage next turn. We'll see if he does choose to hold any of Topples' creatures for ransom. Oh, yeah. Hold for ransom in this format has wound up being just a pretty solid card. I think surprisingly good. I think having that refuse to yield open, he does choose to hold the Venom Connoisseur for ransom, knowing that it would be a forced 1-for-1 trade with any of the creatures that he blocks with. The refuse to yield is going to be a nice surprise blocker for taking out Orfeo. Ooh, okay. Jamie draws into a very, very valuable exhibition magician here. Okay, I think this is going to be a big time refuse to yield turn. Going to be able to toss that refuse on the regulator block. I think, do you want to put on the regulator or the shield main? I think it's probably, it's like, who would you potentially rather want to die? Maybe it's the shield mate, because you'd rather have the 2/2 unshielded shield mate die than your 2/3 flyer. It's definitely a tough call. I would probably put it on the shield mate and say, hey, if you got a way to get rid of it, you got it. He does choose the regulator. I think it also doesn't really matter here. In red, as far as instant speed interaction, there's like bouncers beatdown. Bouncers beatdown, I believe, is instant speed. Prize fight is instant speed. Yeah, regardless, you're kind of messed up by the instant speed interaction there. But again, because of that, I probably would have rather put it on the shield mate just in case. It's going to be a big block from DeFore here. Only going to have to take 2 damage, taking out Topples' biggest threat. She's going to get down the exhibition magician, getting her another treasure and enabling that masked bandits to come down next turn. Another land for DeFore. Still got that revelation of power. Honestly, if you swing in with both, it's lethal if she doesn't block. So I think you got to try. I think you got to try because you look at the existing board state and you say, okay, you know, I probably don't die on the crackback, so I need to at least put myself in a position to potentially win this. Okay, he is going to go for the all out, the right click, attack all. Jamie making the smart block here. Going to take 2, go down to 7. D4 does pass the turn. Jamie attacks, putting D4 down to 8, and she's going to be able to get the Masked Bandits down. Nice big blocker. She drew into an additional mountain. Still has one of her treasures open in case any of her other black cards come up. I do believe that those 2 might be the only black cards that she's splashing for. Oh, a huge pickup for D4. Able to leave open the Revelation of Power as well as play the Sewer Croc. I think he's going to go bash all. I think he's going to... You 2 for 1 yourself if you attack with a Dapper Shield mate. So I actually think potentially... Are you taking lethal next turn? She's hellbent. She has 0 cards in hand. You need to draw into... She's drawn to some pump. I think you're leaving up the Dapper Shield mate as a blocker. Maybe not. I was going to say put it on... put the crowbar on the regulator, which I think is 2, and then attack in. It's not like you have countered creatures where you're going to get lifelink from the Revelation of Power anyway. Put her in a position that, I guess, no matter what, it's a 2-turn clock with the Revelation of Power and the equip. But I think that doing that now is more favorable, and then just essentially using your Dapper Shield mate as a chunk blocker. I do also like, I mean, I think you have to drop the Sewer Croc. I'm fairly certain the crowbar is that 2. Let me just double check. See a peek at what D4 is working with. The crowbar is a 2. Yeah, equipped for 2. I do think I would have moved it over there, just making it so that lethal came from either the crocodile or the pumped regulator next turn. But again, that doesn't really matter. Oof. Okay. Well, that's a rough draw for Topples. It might be that might be game, just because he's got the unblockable. He puts the crowbar on the croc for next turn. It's unblockable. She does pay the ransom. She is not going to have enough blockers next turn, unfortunately. Yeah, and this is looking like game. And Topples falls 2-0 to D4. Really good match, really good play from D4. Excited to see a really interesting finals coming up. So let's check out what we've got going on. All right, so in our current bracket, we have EkiLTV moving on through the winners bracket semifinals to the finals of the pod. JamieTopples taking on D4 and losing 2-0 to him. So D4 and EkiLTV are actually going to be in the finals of our pod. Corticals and NicolaiBolas moved on to the 1-1 brackets to take on the Ham TV or Corticals, the winner of that match. And Voxy taking down Tap That Asp to participate in the win and in match. Excited to kind of see these play out. Voxy's deck was incredibly powerful from the draft itself, but what we do see is that these white-blue decks, let's take a peek at the two finalist decks. It's DeFore and EkiLTV. Both of them are particularly aggressive, and both of them have a plethora of 2-drops. DeFore drafted 16 2-drops. Ekil drafted 13 2-drops, and they are aggressive. They land early and they hit hard. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 2-drops for DeFore here. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. He's probably got, and 23 for witness protection. He's probably got something else in here, but it's a pretty nice curve. It's a lot of just evasive commons and uncommons. And you can tell that, you know, it doesn't even take all that much from these decks to be really effective. You know, you need some pretty tight piloting, and you need to be using your combat tricks at the right time, but you can tell that these guys know what they're doing. Ekil's deck is super interesting over here. Double Lackey, Grizzly Sigil, Bruiser, Veteran, Crooked Custodian, Snooping Newsy, Double Snooping Newsy, Fake Your Own Death, Obscura Initiate, Regulator, Exotic Pets. I don't know if he's playing either of these because it looked like his deck was actually really tight, just black-blue. Body Launderer, Great Rare, Syndicate Infiltrator, Run Out of Town, Double Whack. Yeah, the top end of this deck is incredibly powerful, and the Double Newsy and the Double Lackey and Grizzly Sigil, just like a really strong, solid deck all the way through the curve. He's running the Dig Up the Body, so he's got some recursion, things to toss away to the casualty triggers from the Grizzly Sigil, as well as the Dig Up the Body. The casualty one on those is really not that hard to get, and the fact that he's got double lackeys gives him great targets for those casualties. So it's just a really solid deck all around. Both of them have been piloting the heck out of those decks, and it seems like we've got a couple more rounds left before we wrap up today. And again, come join us. We would love to have you participate in any one of our splits. We have upcoming splits with Quarter Calls, as well as Just Lola Man in the next week. And we are doing 4 weeks of pro coaching from your favorite pros and content creators. You can participate in individual office hours for gameplay reviews and draft log reviews. You get scrimmages and group play opportunities with your community. And it all culminates in a final tournament for cash prizes. So we would love to have you come participate in the coolest esports experience for casual gamers and meet some new friends along the way while you get better at the game you love. So we would love to have you come join us. Come join, sign up for our Discord if you're interested in what we got going on. Or check us out here at esporter.win. Again, let's take you back to the bracket. Let's take a look at the current records for everybody. So we are heading into round 3. We see Ekil and DeFore moving on. We see Tap That Asp and the Ham going into the final O2 bracket. So let's take a quick peek again at where we're at in the pairings. Oh, yeah, really good. Okay, the Tap That Asp and the Ham looks like they may not play it out, but it looks like we're moving. Quarter Calls able to take down the match here. NicolaiBolas and Quarter Calls going at it in the win and in match, and Voxy and JamieTopples also participating in the win and in match. Really excited to see them duke it out. Very exciting. Ekil and DeFore also going to duke it out with their white, blue, blue, black decks. NicolaiBolas, and we will take you over to the winners bracket finals right now between Ekil and DeFore. So we can see a kind of rough start for the hand for Ekil. It looks like he may have had to mulligan his first hand. He's only got 8 resources by turn 2. It's on the play. Yeah, it looks like he had to mulligan one of his hands there. Or, no, that's a lie. He did not mulligan. 8 resources by turn 2 makes sense. He is able to get out the Crooked Custodian. Doesn't want to use his fake your own death yet on the custodian. Makes sense. Got better options in your hand. He likes the quick draw dagger. Gathering Throng here from to4. Unfortunately, one of them was already in his hand, it looks like. That might be wrong. That might be wrong. There was only 2 in his deck, just on a little bit of a lag here. No blue mana still for Akil here. A bit of a heartbreaker. This was the story of a lot of people's decks in yesterday's Pod 1 in the Streets of New Capenna Streamer Showdown. Just not the kindest shuffler for people's mana bases. We see the 4th land come down 4/4 into another Gathering Throng. And DeForest, I think, is going to start pushing. I would have to assume. Chooses not to start pushing. Interesting choice. I do think that, you know, when you have your opponent on a back foot or seemingly struggling with one of their colors of mana, you probably want to, I would want to begin pushing. But again, it's open deck list, so we often know that, hey, there's my opponent's maybe got a couple of tricks here. Akil going to push in. Decides to fake her own death on the Crooked Custodian. Gets the treasure token. Ooh, that Grizzly Sigil is going to be mean. Is able to clean up both of those Gathering Throngs. The ultimate counter to the Gathering Throng, the Casualty Grizzly Sigil. Still has the treasure for a turn for the next turn, Echo Inspector. To4 is actually looking like he's in rough shape from a creature perspective here. He's got just the backup agent and a couple of ways to protect it, but it's looking a little bit like he's really got to keep this agent alive. Echo Inspector here. Probably, okay, chooses to toss the Crocodile. Probably feels like he's way too far from it. Can go get it back with something like the Body Launderer if you can get a Connive counter on the Body Launderer. I do like that play. Just a little bit too far from it for it to make a ton of sense. And you can always go get it back a little bit later. As soon as you get some of your 2-drops. And on top of that, like he said, you know, what he was probably just saying to his chat was, I wanted it in the graveyard to add for an additional mana value for my Snooping Newsy. That's probably what he was saying. And then later, you can go get it back with your Body Launderer. Yeah, that's exactly what he's saying. Which is a great play. I think it makes a ton of sense, especially when you're struggling on mana. The next mana that you play, you want to be able to make the most impactful turn possible, and the Croc's just not doing a whole lot for you. Yeah, you're probably just letting that go through a little bit fishy there on the attack. Another backup agent, probably putting the counter on itself so that you don't get blown out. Decides to go all in on the 1. I do like it. It does allow him to potentially push for more damage. It allows him to continue to protect it. Akil does find the island. The blue mana there is a pretty big pickup. Body Launderer is going to be a really, really strong card right now for Akil here. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, Body Launderer connives. When it dies, return another non-rogue creature card with equal or lesser power from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if he's able to get one of his non-token creatures to die, get a single connive counter, it's a free Sewer Croc later. D4 here, going with the Rooftop Nuisance, sacking his 1/1 agent to get the double tap down and begin to swing in a bit more aggressively. Makes a bit more sense now why he chose that counter on the other agent to use him as that casualty target. Might be a challenging next couple of turns for D4. It does seem like he, as Akil has unlocked his blue mana, it seems like he might be a little bit behind in this race. If I'm Akil, I'm actually thinking I might want to get out either my Newsy or maybe the Initiate. I'm looking to looking to have something die. I want to connive as soon as possible. I like the Midnight Assassin so that it can kill the 3/3 and potentially be another mana value in our graveyard. I'm for that. I like that. Yeah, this is it's definitely looking like Akil is in a controlling, commanding position here. Bringing out the regulator to tap down the assassin here. Lets him get in 5 more damage. D4 is really trying to push the tempo here. I think Akil getting both of his creatures untapped, being able to drop a Newsy. If he gets another blue mana, he gets the double spell. I think Akil's in good position to not only be stabilized, but be able to defend against this onslaught from D4. And you can't forget that D4 has 6 surprise damage in his hand. There's definitely a world where he can just surprise end it out of nowhere. He does draw into the extra island. Akil here is going to be set up for a nice double spell here. Probably swing in with both. Okay, chooses not to swing in, needs to protect his life total, makes a ton of sense. Going to leave up the quick draw dagger potentially. Oh, gets himself to the 5 out of 5. The Snooping Newsy are now the 3/3 life linkers he needs them to be. Gets to toss a couple more lands. Ooh, everything's coming up Akil right now. Newsy's activated. Lands in the bin, especially when you don't need them. Yeah, this regulator is going to be able to push, but these Newsies as 3/3s on the ground are just so huge, so huge. And the fact that he's got the quick draw dagger waiting in the wings is just big time. Mwah. We'll see. We'll see if D4 can use the Revelations of Power in effective ways. He can maybe get away with some of these attacks. There's going to be it's going to be pretty. It feels a bit like a stalemate here, and both of them knowing each other's deck lists makes it seem like, oh gosh, they're just going to be, there might be a staring contest a little while. Like, hey, I know you got something in your hand, I got something in my hand. Whoever blinks first. Yeah, we'll see. I don't necessarily see Yeah, I was gonna say I don't necessarily see DeFore attacking here. He does want to keep up the pressure, but he does also have the upper hand. Yeah, he chooses. Oh, he might attack actually. He very well might attack with the agent. The problem is he just doesn't have a good. Okay. I like it. I like the attack here. It's very aggressive. It's saying, "Hey, come block this. Like with your Echo Inspector, please come block it." Oh, so this is 8. This is representing lethal. Oh my goodness. Akil has to block here. Wow, yeah, big time play from DeFore. This was really the only path for him to go and potentially threaten lethal. Good draw for Akil here with the Girder Goons. Ooh, big time. I think you oof. You got to block one of the newsies, right? He's going to play the dagger. You get to play the revelation. He's going to gain a whole bunch of life, which you don't love, but this could potentially put DeFore back in the driver's seat. Revelation of power on the regulator here is going to be pretty good, but that's fine for DeFore. He's saying that's fine. Not a problem. Allows him to continue conniving with the body launderer and get out of Crooked Custodian. All right, seems like this might be looking like it is Akil's to lose here. Oh, a security bypass is going to allow DeFore to start punching in each turn and conniving. Oh, goodness. That is definitely going to open up a whole additional set of options that he didn't have before. The security bypass is actually a surprisingly very powerful card. I think a lot of people maybe slept on it early in the format, but because the deck is so good and so evasive as it is, security bypass just winds up being another massive threat for people looking to push in just little bits of additional damage. Moves the crowbar over to the agent. Give himself a nice beefy blocker there. Moves the quick draw dagger over again to the other snooping newsie. Oh, he's going to blitz out the Girder Goons. He really wants this to be the turn. He's going to push in with everybody. Is it everybody? Yeah, just about everybody, minus the 3-2. I think I'm probably taking out the newsie here so that he loses his life linker, but the body launderer is a huge problem. The body launderer is just going to keep getting bigger. I think it's going to be real tough for DeFore to get out of this one. Oh, big pickup with the quick draw dagger. Going to be able to eat that newsie for free, mitigate the amount of life he's losing. Okay, dig up the body is a pretty massive pickup for Akil. That opens up his ability to go get back the body launderer if DeFore has some way to kill it. And then the body launderer, when it dies, goes to get a sewer croc. Out of control. Girder Goons coming through big time. Honestly, I think the play could be going to get the dig up the body for the Girder Goons. I think you toss the Make Disappear, which is a free token from Connive. I think you dig up the body and you maybe go get the Goons again. Blitz. You can't do both next turn. You need one more mana. So, this is a tough call. This is a tough call. For anyone coming, thanks for joining us for the finals of the Just Lola Man and Esporter Streets of New Capenna Streamer Showdown. We're watching Akil with a Demir, kind of aggressive, pretty powerful deck, take on DeFore with a blue-white skies tempo evasion deck. It's been a really good match so far. These guys are playing incredibly tightly. For anyone who doesn't know what Esporter is, when you sign up for one of our splits, you get 4 weeks of pro coaching, individual gameplay reviews, scrimmages, and group play opportunities. And it all culminates in a cash prize tournament, in a tournament for prizes with your learning group. So come join us. Just Lola Man is running one of our next splits. Corticals is running the one after that. Seats are filling up really quickly. We would love to have you come be a part of it. And it's honestly the most fun and unique way that you can participate in Magic today. Come join our Discord. We would love to talk limited, talk Magic with you. Big draw from DeFore, able to get the hold for ransom on his body launder, but little does he know that the dig up the body is in Akil's hand for the casualty. He's going to be able to come get the Sewer Croc as well as maybe the Girder Goons. Oh my goodness, what a pickup for Akil here with the dig up the body. This has been a crazy back and forth. The security bypass on the regulator has just been outstanding. Being a 4/5, dodges the whack. Geez, these guys are just throwing haymaker after haymaker at one another. I think he can go get Goons and, okay. Chooses to whack the agent. Makes sense. Lock down what's happening on the board. Get in for another 4 damage. He's not going to be able to block that anyway. I really do like digging up the body and getting back 2 creatures, getting back Girder Goons and the Sewer Croc. If he draws into another land, he could just pay the ransom. But I kind of like you body launder, casualty the body launder. You get to go get the Croc. Then you put the Goons back in your hand and like the Newsy back in your hand. Oh, with the second. Oh, so you can actually probably get the body launderer back. You dig up the body. You pay the casualty. On the second activation, you can go get the sacrifice. Someone in chat has got to tell me if it works like that, because he'd be able to go get the Croc from the body launderer's activation and put it into play. Then he'd be able to go get Girder Goons and body launderer from the double dig up the bodies. It's Girder Goons first, casualty, body launderer. Someone's got to tell me if it would work like that. If so, that is absolutely bananas, and I think it's about to happen. That is an absurd play, too. That is absolutely huge. I wonder if that's what he's mathing through right now. All right, a pretty good draw from DeFore in a 4/2, but I don't know if it's going to cut it, especially with the combo that's about to come down from Akil here. That works. Yeah, that's good to know. That's pretty insane. This is going to be a huge turn. Oh my goodness. Wow. This is incredible. He's going to be able to go put the Croc into play. And then he uses dig up the body 1 to go get, he can get Goons and get the launderer back. Unstoppable. I don't, if I am DeFore. I don't know how you come back from this. I think you gotta. He chooses the infiltrator instead. You know what? To be honest, the body launderer a second time. It's probably just a little too greedy. I totally understand the infiltrator. All right, I want to welcome in one of Esporter's finest to come help me cast this final matchup. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Dude Manville. Dude, we just saw a crazy game one with Ekil and DeFore. Ekil coming out the winner. What do you think of that game?
I mean, like I told you from this morning, I was beyond excited to watch Akil today. Like this morning, he was one of my favorites to win. DeFore was probably my second favorite. And seeing them here in this final match I'm just so excited. Like I don't have words for it, you know?
That was a pretty crazy combo to watch, to see him be able to close out the game like that with such authoritative fashion. I think DeFore has got a bit of an uphill battle here to try and close out this match. It's interesting to see him go through some of these sideboards. I think he's thinking that, hey, if the removal for my opponent is maybe this hold for ransom based and it's just really looking to clog up the ground, then I want bigger blockers. And that's why he's looking at the Backstreet Bruiser coming in here. And as we can see, he did choose to not actually play the regulator or the exotic pets and splash the white. You can see a really tight build here.
I mean, I could definitely see him going for some bigger blockers. I'd be lying if I said I looked at the deck list like I should have, but what I'm really interested to see is how he continues to play those casualties, how EkiLTV continues to play those casualties, and whether or not he decides to go into something bigger or if he keeps keeping some of those weaker creatures and sacking them for whatever bonus effects he can get. I mean, that's how he's been pulling his last couple games, and it's unique and different.
Yeah, I think he's done a good job of using his lackeys, using his lockdown creatures from opponents' witness protections in really effective ways. Yeah, Keel's been playing real tight. I mean, I'm looking back at the looking back at the bracket. I'm not even sure he's missed a single game yet. Yeah, he has not dropped a game yet. He is walking into this final game of the whole tournament at 5-0. So that is pretty good. Pretty excited to see that. Oh, and as we didn't get to see it, but JamieTopples was able to take down Voxy in the win and in match. So she will be in the top 4 of today's pod, making it to the finals tomorrow.
You know, that's really surprising. Voxy just had such a powerful deck drafting all those rares. I'm kind of surprised.
I think the biggest challenge with those decks is mitigating the early aggression from these decks. Like you see all these 2-drops from these blue-white decks, and even JamieTopples, which was a red-green, more aggressive beatdown type deck. It's really hard to mitigate that early aggression. If you don't do it well, then you just kind of lose. And even if you have this deck full of rares, it sometimes just doesn't necessarily beat a deck that's going 1 into 2 into 3 and then hitting you for 5 damage on turn 3. Really good.
That makes a lot of sense.
Good use of the sigil here from Ekil. He's continuing to push with his Crooked Custodian.
Yes, definitely seems like he's winning the race right now, but I'm interested to see what they draw into over these next couple turns.
Yeah, Ekil's got quite a powerful hand to go Echo Inspector into Girder Goons in the next couple of turns, but don't count DeFore out just yet. He's going to be able to double spell this turn with his Rafine's Informant, as well as he's not going to hold for ransom, I think. He's going to be able to get out his holding up his quick draw dagger, maybe.
I mean, that's interesting because
got it. No, the top is we're just a little bit ahead on Ekil's screen here.
Right, it is a little bit. I am curious, do you think DeFore is going to put out that Rafine's and risk getting rid of some of that powerful hand to get something else and connive it, or maybe they just toss a land? I mean, how would you play that one?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you definitely need to play Rafine's to try and draw to your more powerful win conditions, and he's almost certainly going to toss a land. Yeah, you can't get rid of either pieces of removal when your opponent is already has a board state as strong as Ekil's here.
Yeah, Ekil's board state is mean, especially that flyer, that 3/2. I mean, and DeFore's got nothing to deal with it right now. I suppose you could toss on a hold for ransom, but it's just Not gonna
Wow.
do the trick.
I love that. That is ballsy as heck. That is a serious bluff. I mean, if I'm Akil, I'm not blocking there. I don't want to run into one of your revelation for powers. But that's at this high stakes. That is a fairly ballsy bluff there. I do like it though. I like it. That's I'm scares me a little to even think about making that bluff, but I like that DeFore did it. He does lock down the Echo Inspector with the hold for ransom. And still has the dagger up for his blocking ability. Girder Goons is going to make it down for Akil here, and he's going to have a follow-up of the Syndicate Infiltrator. And honestly, this is just so much beat down power. I'm not sure that DeFore is going to be able to stop it.
I mean, we've definitely seen some crazier things get drawn into over the course of this tournament, so I don't want to count DeFore out just yet, but I see what you mean.
He gets the Citizen's Crowbar. Is going to put it on his Skycrier to make a big, beefy lifelinker. This is going to be a problem for Akil. The Syndicate Infiltrator will help block it. He might be able to run out of town it. Yep, back to the top of his opponent's deck. Oh, it seems like he may have sideboarded into and extract the truth here to make him sack his hold for ransom. I really like that play. That's a really smart sideboard coming in from Akil here.
I mean, that definitely changes the game quite a bit. I'm curious. Lost my train of thought.
Yeah, so we see him moving on here to looks like DeFore's gotten quite a number of good draws in a row. This knockout blow is going to be pretty solid. The Buy Your Silence, this quick draw dagger could be huge right now. Oh, I think he may have already, it's already out on the battlefield on the Skycrier. Yeah, we're about a turn behind on the top screen. So it looks like the knockout blow and the Buy Your Silence are going to be the ones that are currently in DeFore's hands. And Akil able to push back for 9 here. That's a pretty big attack. What were we gonna say?
No, the Citizen Crowbar already came down. Again, yes. It's about a turn behind. It's throwing me off.
So the run out of town is going to be able to push the Crier back. I like that knockout blow on the Syndicate Infiltrator. It's going to be able to put DeFore in a position where he's going to be able to race really nicely here. He's given 4, but he's taken 3 and given 3 each turn. And the Midnight Assassin here is a very good blocker for Akil to slow down this Skycrier.
I mean, yeah.
The security bypass is a huge pickup for DeFore here. He's going to be able to get that bypass down on the Skycrier, and it's going to be able to start conniving and attacking in for 3 lifelink. That run out of town is going to be devastating. Oh, goodness. That's a tough one. That's a tough one for DeFore, and I think that could potentially spell defeat.
I could definitely see the run out of town being the end of this game because that puts us, what, 2 turns from lethal?
Yes, that's 2 turns from lethal. He does.
And there it is.
DeFore sees it. Akil, congratulations to our Streamer Showdown Pod 2 winner. Very excited to see him do as well as he did. Again, that was absolutely fantastic. So we were just able to see Akil take down DeFore. We saw JamieTopples take down a Voxy, and I do think that NicolaiBolas and Corticals might still be in their match. We'll check in on them and see what's still going on. But that was quite a last match, and Akil going through the entire bracket completely undefeated. I would say this man has earned his spot in the finals of the Streets of New Capenna Streamer Showdown.
I'm definitely excited to see tomorrow, watching him go up against, I hope he goes up against Numat the Nummy, but some of those other people that were really strong competitors as well.
Oh, every one of them are top players in the world. These are some of the best players who have ever played the game of Magic who are sitting in this bracket tomorrow. So I'm very excited to kind of see them all duke it out. Akil has punched his ticket to 4. Although you came in second in the pod, you still also get to participate in the finals tomorrow. Congratulations. Super exciting there. So just taking a peek, quick update. Yep. Seems like okay. We got a cup. Okay. We're going to see if we can still get us into this NicolaiBolas and Cord match. It seems like they still might be going. Tomorrow, the finals do work the same way. It's going to be a draft into a best-of-3 pod with, so yesterday finished top 4, Numat the Nummy, Seth Manfield, Rita Rabbit, and Lord Tupperware. Might actually change that just a little bit. We do have conflict there with one of the participants, so it's going to be someone in this 1-2 also coming along for the ride. Really excited to see. So we've definitely locked in Akil and DeFore and JamieTopples, and then we have the winner of NicolaiBolas and Corticals, which we have here right now. So let's ride along with Cord. Oh, it looks like we just catch the tail end of Cord as he falls to NicolaiBolas. Great playing, Alex and Nicolai. Thanks for coming in and participating. It was so fun to have you guys. It was a really great job. So we see the final 4 being Akil, DeFore, NicolaiBolas, and JamieTopples going up against Numat, Seth Manfield, Lord Tupperware, and one more to be decided. Great. Again, this is the Esporter and Just Lola Man Streamer Showdown. If you want to see what we're all about, come join us in our Discord. We can tell you more about it. It's 4 weeks of pro coaching with your favorite pros and content creators, individual replay review and gameplay analysis, scheduled scrimmages and group play opportunities that all culminate in a tournament for prizes. Come check us out at esporter.win. Again, you can come join our Discord. We would love to have you. And thanks again for hanging out with us today. This has been a blast to kind of watch these people play at such a high level, and we can't wait for the finals tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's going to be a lot of high-level play, a lot of really awesome people coming in and participating with us, and I can't wait for what we've got going on then.
I mean, we've got 2 Hall of Famers coming in, right? Seth Manfield and Reed Duke.
Yeah, two Hall of Famers. I'm not sure if Seth is in the Hall of Fame yet. He might be, but Reed is definitely a Hall of Famer. Did a great job yesterday. Yeah, we've got a big day, big lineup for tomorrow. Don't miss it. You don't want to miss it. It's going to start at 10 a.m. PST. Come join us. We're going to be streaming the draft live, and we would love to have you in the chair with us, talking through their gameplay and seeing some awesome plays happen. Again, also, quick little value add for anyone still listening. Do not forget, today there are stonks in the MTG Arena daily deals. So make sure you log in, go get your free money when they give it to you, because nothing's ever free in the MTG store except when it's stonks day. Get in there, baby. Go claim those gems. Again, yeah, love having you guys here. Glad you could come hang out. If anyone wants to know more about what we do at Esporter, I'm Quente on Discord. You can come join us. The link is in the chat. We would love to have you guys come be a part of our community. Thanks again for your time. We are going to toss all of you over to someone in our community. Anyone in chat have a suggestion for who we should raid? I don't know who's actually even on right now. We could do Alex. You could do Jim too, but cool. Awesome. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Go tell Alex we said hi and give him some love.